Amidst the myriad of problems that are plaguing entertainment in general, from activism to ridiculously overpriced content demanding your money, there has been another increasingly worrying development, and that is censorship. I'm sure you're aware of how companies have begun to censor the internet, how places like the UK are already all but censoring down to their molecular levels with really no signs of stopping. Well, now things have gotten worse, and it's kind of crazy how this is all going down. So recently, Visa posted a job position on LinkedIn that raised a ton of eyebrows. I think I should just read you what the post says because it's kind of crazy, but here it reads: Gaming is no longer just play, it's culture, community, and commerce. Gen Z and Gen Alpha spend more time gaming than any other media. At Visa, our mission is to uplift everyone everywhere by being the best way to pay and be paid. Now we're bringing that purpose into the gaming ecosystem. As Director Global Gaming Partnerships, you'll lead the charge in building transformative collaborations with publishers, platforms, leagues, and creators, reimagining how payments power the future of play. This role is about more than partnerships, it's about building global strategies that unlock new opportunities for players and partners alike, driving innovation where gaming and commerce collide, and championing economic empowerment in one of the fastest growing cultural movements on the planet. If you're passionate about gaming, inspired by culture, and ready to make an impact on a global stage, we want you on our team. So, this role, this Director of Global Gaming Partnerships, has had a lot of people understandably worried. Because effectively what the job post was saying here from the VP of Visa was that the job wasn't necessarily about just handling money. No, instead it was about influencing the culture and the ways that people engage with products and buying them. They mean censorship, guys. This job description clearly defines that Visa wants to become a wall, so to speak, a filter even between what you can buy and what you are allowed to engage with. Here's another picture of this so-called Director of Global Gaming Partnerships, and again, both of these images that you've seen so far have been scrubbed from the internet, by the way. So why is that? Well, because they showed their hand, and they thought they could delete it in time, but the internet is faster than most, thankfully. And now in the United Kingdom at least, the OSA, or Online Safety Act, has now hit Steam. And the results are definitely not good, let's just say that. As seen here, the OSA will now influence every fabric of Steam for UK players going forward. And if you enjoy the content, consider doing all the YouTube stuff, from liking the video, subscribing, and more. It helps immensely. But as it states here in Valve's section called Why We Use This Process, basically Ofcom, which runs the UK's online censorship nonsense, is demanding that everyone who engages with mature content must verify themselves through a credit card of their own. This is done because credit cards, obviously, can only be obtained once you hit 18 years old, making you legal, so to speak. But this throws another big wrench in the system that we also need to talk about, as GameSpot reports here. Steam now requires a credit card to verify your age when viewing mature games in the United Kingdom. This now throws another huge wrench in the online system, because now mature games, which are games obviously rated 18 and up, will now be censored and not be available for purchase, and even viewed by users that are verified under the age of 18. This will severely impact the player count and visibility of many core franchises, most notably, actually, let's just bring up Call of Duty. Because as seen here on the ESRB website, Call of Duty is labeled M for mature. It says 17 plus years wise is required. But even then, this also cuts off many players below the ages of 17 even that can access Warzone, or Call of Duty in general, in the UK going forward. Warzone obviously is free to play, and its player numbers are very dependent on people from all age brackets playing and accessing the game. This will mean the Online Safety Act has officially censored and blocked Warzone from UK players below the ages of 17, which is, yeah, a lot of people. But this won't be the only game affected, since a little game is coming out next year that will surely make a big splash called Grand Theft Auto 6. Maybe you heard of it. And that game too will be 18 plus, clearly for adult themes and violence, which means that Rockstar just lost a large player base in the UK due to these Online Safety Acts, who legitimately cannot access this this game even if they want to now. I mean, that wouldn't even be all. Think about it. With this in place, now players on Steam under the ages of 18, they can't even access, say, Battlefield 6 when it launches next month either. A major blow to not only EA's mega in the making blockbuster hit, but also just the longevity of many online games in general. I know some will say, who cares? It's only the United Kingdom, but the UK is like the beta testing phase for the rest of the world. The people there get all the nonsense early until it's fine-tuned, and then it's made more available worldwide. So this will come for other digital storefronts and countries in due time. Don't worry, it will. Even starting next year, as also seen here, Xbox will also be adopting these very similar Online Safety Act laws as Steam has as well. Then it will come to PlayStation and so on and so forth, effectively censoring mass amounts of games in an instant by using draconian methods to force behaviors onto players. That visa job that I brought up in the beginning is made to ensure that things like this are implemented properly and constantly across the spectrum too. The fact that the visa job application for a director of gaming uses keywords like transform, leading the charge, or driving innovation in the gaming landscape are damning. The point here is to ensure the status quo spreads across everything, making the entire gaming sphere compliant to these laws. And as seen here from LinkedIn, Alfie Brody, who posted that job application originally, now has no posts on LinkedIn. Wow, imagine that. It's as if he deleted his mask-off job application to form a team that controls the behaviors and censors people they don't like or agree with through money transactions globally. So the point of this is that Visa, through partnerships with places like Ofcom and the OSA, want to influence gaming culture. This is like Sweet Baby Inc., but on a global level, the final boss of Sweet Babies, if you will. We all successfully pushed back against SBI and all of the woke content, if you will, for years, and we did win a big victory last year. But what that did was show these companies that the power was not in their hands, but really the players. And the idea now, as far as I can tell, is they want to ensure that you never have the ability to avoid their moronic takes or their ideology pushes. And they also want to tie that to the financial level of every account you own, no matter the platform. Yes, this will only cause people to rebel more. Many likely will just revert back to older games on systems not connected to the internet, either to avoid all of this entirely. And I mean, why would you? As seen here from PC Gamer earlier this year, a staggering 92% of PC players are playing older games instead, and the majority of Steam users are clearly sick of this nonsense, and rightfully so. And of that 92%, as Game Rant also reports here, as you can see, 67% of that player base are playing games that are released from 2019 at the earliest. So people are becoming increasingly sick of the censorship and laws and the ideology that is plaguing many newer games, and you really can't blame them. But with the decline of physical game media in general, it also then allows these types to invoke laws upon players. If every game is digital, then these laws are also easier to implement and enforce too. Some are attempting to push back, like in Canada with the E-6698 Consumer Protection Petition, which was started to push back against MasterCard, Visa, and more, in implementing their laws that have become the norm in the UK already. So if you're Canadian, you can sign this petition, by the way. I'll leave a link in the description box below. Just scroll down to the bottom of the petition and then you can sign it yourselves. But you have only until October 25th, 2025 to sign this petition before it closes forever. As seen here in the petition, they detail how these companies and such have clearly ruined places like Steam and more with their censorship, and it just keeps on getting worse. This then brings me back to Steam. So what happens now? Obviously, as of this video being made, Gabe Newell is very much still alive and running Valve alongside other original members of the company. But we do need to come to the eventual fact that Gabe and his old guard, if you will have to retire or eventually be replaced in due time at Valve before long. Unlike, say, Xbox, PlayStation, or Nintendo, which are all publicly traded companies and have to answer to various voices and investors the world over when it comes to their every decision, Valve is uniquely not and never has been a publicly traded entity. Well, not yet anyways. Meaning because of this, Valve, unlike the other platform holders, is more easily able to enact changes at a far faster rate, since they obviously don't have to answer to thousands of investors worldwide. So Valve in general is a relatively small company with an absolutely mammoth-sized impact on the industry. They're the biggest PC platform in the world, and for good reason, because Valve has, at least until now, stayed apolitical on pretty much every single issue imaginable. They've never really enacted their will upon others to censor them. This has only changed recently thanks to what has happened with the credit card companies and such, specifically targeting Valve. So if you ask me, what is holding a place like Steam together is people like Gabe Newell and his old guard. Because once they retire, or God forbid, pass away, what is left is essentially a round table with Excalibur in the middle, at the absolute mercy of whoever inherits what is so obviously an insanely powerful and influential company. And all it would reasonably take is one single activist weirdo to get their way into Valve and gain power within that company. And then before long, things could go public or be infested with more ideology-led freakazoids working there too. Meaning that the integrity and foundation of Steam could be threatened or destroyed if any of these people who welcome censorship get their hands on Steam internally. Truthfully, the only thing holding things together is Gabe Newell and his buddies pretty much, and that's what makes this so worrying. Because let's say Valve one day does go public once the old guard passes, those draconian laws, they will take hold. And then this once great PC platform is now at the full mercy of credit card companies fully. So where do PC players go? Epic Game Store? It could happen there as well. The only way you avoid this is by playing older game consoles not really connected to the internet, I guess. It then also puts a massive wrench in the system, and it's only being done because globalists pretty much want power over everything. It's all being done to enforce behaviors pretty much, and then turn the world into one big connected, censored monolith, and I hate it. As the Gamer reports here back in August 2025, itch.io, which is like an indie Steam, has officially blocked adult game dev pages in the UK. So while you can technically search up games made by these adult game devs, their actual profiles and pages are blocked. That's weird, right? It's just more censorship and none of it is good. Then you can see Christina Tasty on Twitter, as you can see here, has reported that her Steam account now has to prove that she is over the age of 18, despite her actual account being made 19 years ago. Yeah, it's a complete mess. But this is where it gets real stupid, as Christina says here. You know what's crazier? This is literally the Steam page for a game I own too. I have already purchased this product. It is in my library. Yeah, so games that she's bought with her own money are censored on her own Steam account because of online censorship. This is what I mean. So that if you're under the age of 18, you can no longer even see or access any game, whether it's Warzone or the eventual Battlefield 6, unless you're 18 years old in the UK. This will just cause Steam to make even more sweeping changes, and none of them will be good. And it will likely cause many future and even current game releases to self-censor themselves on purpose to circumvent these laws. And if and when these online laws affect everyone outside of the UK, mark my words that companies like Activision, when it comes to Call of Duty, or Electronic Arts with Battlefield 6, will have to force themselves to censor their games and remove any elements that would give them mature ratings. Meaning that every game would then have to self-censor themselves even further, which is not good, especially since with Grand Theft Auto 6 on the horizon, which is of course made by Rockstar, a UK-based company no less, will then have to comply to their country's distorted anti-user laws. Great, can't wait for GTA 6, where everyone has censored lines over their bodies, no blood whatsoever, no swearing, no mini games that are adult themed like gambling or more, no taboo topics to talk about or tackle, no crime-related content whatsoever, and more, just so that Rockstar can sell their game to users under the ages of 18 like they usually did before and make tons of money. Remind me again how any of this is for anyone's benefit but the weirdos who just want to control things. We will be entering an era where the concept of the immature game gets decimated because of fear of censorship and money. This would ruin many game stories, themes, characters, and plots, not to mention what game devs can or can't say in their stories either. It will be a time of great censorship where no content made can really question anything besides the surface level at best, which will just hamper everything, no matter the genre or scope. I don't want a Battlefield 6 where the mature elements are removed, because at that point they may as well just replace the guns in-game with super soakers just to keep Visa and more happy. Or GTA 6 putting every female character in fully clothed outfits, because if they show any skin, these censorship weirdos will just slap an M rating on them. Even Nexus Mods has to comply to these demands, as seen here, where they confirm that they too have to verify ages of their users, as they say. As a UK-based company, we're legally required to protect children online and ensure adult content is only accessible to adults. As a UK-based company, they said, man, just like Rockstar, it's cooked, fellas. In the UK, at least, based on what I could find, people ages 18 to 25 also have a very low credit card adoption rate, sitting at just 29% of the population actually having one. So this will likely skyrocket now with these online demands, but it's also a Trojan horse too, because it's essentially forcing younger users to now get credit cards against their wills, likely Visas, which are also in compliance to censor content, to now make these users use these Visa cards to access said mature content, meaning the people pushing the censoring get richer via these users having to use Visas, and the censorship continues and grows. Remind me again why any of this is good, because it isn't. It's horrific to think that payment companies want to become the leaders of online content, but we're already seeing places like Canada debank people during freedom protests already. And how long till Visa does the same to people they don't agree with politically? It's likely already happened. And the fact that Steam, out of everything, is being made the ground zero example of this is pretty damning. I wouldn't necessarily say if you're a Steam user that you should maybe run for the hills, but it is worrying how a platform deemed to be apolitical has suddenly become the most politically forced in such little time against their own will. And the reason for this implementation is simple once you read more into it, as Ofcom, which controls the UK's Online Safety Act protocols, details, which reads, under the UK's Online Safety Act, companies face significant financial penalties of up to £18 million or 10% of their qualifying worldwide revenue, whichever is greater, for failing to comply with Ofcom's information requests. Furthermore, criminal charges and potential prison sentences can be brought against senior managers who do not ensure that their companies fulfill these requests. Yes, that's real. So Ofcom will literally fine companies that don't comply with their demands for 10% of their revenue, dude. Which for Valve alone, of course, that would be well into the billions if they don't comply with this. And even if they don't, they could then throw Valve employees into jail over not complying despite Valve not being a UK company. This is a gross overreach. I'm kind of astounded that the American government hasn't intervened here and told Ofcom and the UK to just back off entirely. Well, they have sort of, but it's still ongoing. Sure, they're threatening the longevity and well-being of American companies to comply to their policing, so Valve pushing this so easily, it makes sense because they don't want to lose billions. But it also means that Valve has indeed bent the knee to these types fully. Now Valve and Steam by proxy have to comply with anything these types do. It's a lose-lose scenario for players, and then PC Gamer reported that a survey where 4,400 British people were then over the ages of 18 were asked whether they support the Online Safety Act's blocking of content for younger users. And sadly, as seen here, a staggering 70% of those interviewed were totally fine with the censorship and believed that it was needed. The British people are quite literally bending over backwards and giving their overlords more power over them, either out of, free or lack of knowledge, I guess, or something like that. But either way, it still makes what's happening to Steam a massive problem, because what good can these laws change when the people who are affected by it are not being protected or advocated for by those who can reasonably make a difference? It ultimately leaves Valve and the UK at large with a massive disadvantage, and that's putting that lightly. The UK seems to just be a battered nation of people who honestly have long since lost their will to fight against any real change. And it's then not surprising when more and more horrific laws get placed upon their populace. And if all of the government there needs to do in order to enact new, more seething laws is to have horrible situations happen, then the government will simply create those scenarios themselves to then answer their own actions with worse laws to enforce more power down upon their populace. So for anyone watching this in the UK, even if you can, who knows? I feel for you deeply because this is horrible. After all, it's clear that there's something wrong across the board, even on YouTube right now. Dozens of content creators from all niches and channel sizes are also speaking up on how their content has been effectively silenced by YouTube as well. I'm also someone who clearly has been seeing my content being suppressed to a degree too. Basically, like Steam, YouTube is also using an AI algorithm to suggest content to users. Joshua Strife Hayes, who does content on games as seen here, he has made a post about how his content has been suppressed as well. Why it's happening is because, like Steam with the whole OSA thing, YouTube is allegedly pushing restricted mode on users without them even knowing it. You even have Racefic, another YouTuber, as shown here, looked at his own content in restricted mode, and out of the 80 or so videos of his, barely anything that he's made is available in that mode. So what hope do we as creators have, whether it's YouTube content or video games with devs and studios, when all of this is at the mercy of AI algorithms and people who clearly do not care for the content that people want to consume? The ultimate goal here is power and control, and it's clear that there's problems that really do need fixing. Hopefully, by you watching this, you've become more aware of this and that you start to ask questions and start to look into things more deeply. I don't mean to make videos like this to scare you or doom scroll. I make them to keep you aware of what's really going on. So don't lose hope. If we can beat nonsense in the past, we can beat it again. Just keep your voices heard no matter what, and where you are and all of that, and don't just blindly consume without asking why. Steam, yes, it may be compromised, but the fight isn't over. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Is this all too much? Can Steam ever swing back? Thank you for watching, subscribe, and I'll see you soon.